on this 5.5 patch.
Yeah, lots of questions here, but we are starting the draft, so we'll start to answer some of them for you. Fauna on the blue side, up against the Chiefs here over on the red. Morgana, LeBlanc, and Sion, three very smart bans there for Fauna. And Lee Sin banned away by Chiefs, and that Cassidon's in there as well.
Lee Sin banned on the red side. Actually, a lot of respect showed to Naya. Naya, the Lee Sin Nidalee that we saw from them in their first win of this season was a real big reason that they took down that game. Nidalee does make it through the picks, the bans list here. Would be an expected first pick, but that would sort of be a blind pick mid for Fauna. They haven't shown much from the jungle in terms of jungle Nidalee. Blind picking a mid against Swiffer. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, Swiffer's just such a good mage player. And, you know, he has had a couple champions banned out here, but Ari notably still left open. Cassiopeia, actually, the last ban there for Chiefs. So pretty interesting stuff, actually. Seems like both teams are well prepared for each other, but Fauna going to take a long time on this decision, and they are going to lock in Nidalee.
I think Moya's proficiency on this champion really demands this pick. I imagine they have the flexibility to put it in the jungle if they have to. I'm happy that Sejuani is starting to fall away from being a first pick champion, isn't banned, isn't picked in this situation. 0-2 for the night. Definitely is strong, but feels like her solo queue strength doesn't necessarily translate into competitive, at least from what we've seen so far in the OPL.
Yeah, like you said, not really a spook thing. Naya probably chomping at the bit to take it away, but don't forget, Rek'Sai's still good here as well, and Rek'Sai and Maokai are the Chiefs' first two picks.
And that's the big thing about Rek'Sai, is that the one thing you have to note is still very low do these junglers get in the jungle. That's the tank junglers, when they're in the jungle, get very, very low. So Rek'Sai still going to have a very safe clear, still can potentially invade and contest those early buffs and try and remove a buff from those power farming junglers like the Amumus and Sejuanis of the world. There's still room in the meta for the likes of Lee Sin and the Rek'Sai, and we could potentially see here an answer to the kind of onslaught of Cinder Hulk junglers that we've seen so far tonight.
I mean, I guess Lee Sin, absolutely, I agree with you, he's still very good, but Rek'Sai was a great jungler on the last patch. Yep. Benefits, you have to think, from the Cinder Hulk as well. Like, it's a choice you can at least make. I mean, we'll have to see what Spooks wants to go for, but it's at least something they can pick. But Naya does go back to comfort here. Sejuani for him, and Janna there to support.
And I'm really interested to see whether we do see Spooks aggressively invading. Of course, since the jungle rework, we haven't seen a lot of jungle invasions. With the longer spawn timers on the camps, people haven't really been focusing on invading the enemy jungle. This is the time when it starts to open up, when we start to see early skirmish-heavy junglers versus tank-clear junglers, especially low-clear junglers like Sejuani and Amumu that we saw early. You do expect to start to see the aggressive invades coming through. Spooks is an aggressive player. I mean, the only reason I kind of step away from the Cinder Hulk on Rek'Sai is that she has a lot of damage. She's a very strong skirmisher, so moving a very efficient early damage item like the Warrior Enchant, which has been traditionally, although not so much in the OPL, but traditionally been the only damage item we see coming out of Rek'Sai. I feel like it's still a lot of value to pick up the Warrior, but you do have the option, like you said, you still can go flexible, just like other junglers on Java might pick up the Juggernaut enchant rather than the Warrior. You do have that option to go the Cinder Hulk on the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and I like this from the Chiefs as well. A lot of respect here shown in their picks, lots of power as well. Graves and Annie, they complete a bottom lane. Lots of very standard, very aggressive stuff for the duo.
And it's interesting to see Radia kind of step away from the Kog'Maw and move on to the Graves, very much going for the early game focus here. I love the fact that Chiefs are showing strategic versatility this late into the season. Playoffs are coming soon. They might be holding back strategies we don't know, but they're showing that they can play at both speeds, and that always strikes terror into your heart because you never really know which scouting report is going to be the more reliable one. Is it going to be the Graves comps? Is it going to be the Kog'Maw comps? You don't know if you watch the Chiefs week on week.
Yeah, and they've looked, again, so good so far. Still undefeated here in the OPL with 4 games to play. Fortnite going to try and play upset. Remember, for them, it's actually a very important game. They need to win out if they have a chance of staying in the OPL. One more loss, and mathematically, they just can't make it anymore.
Absolutely. They're choosing their own fate, but this is the sternest test you can face in the OPL. Definitely not an easy win to pick up against the Chiefs. You look down their comp, you can still definitely see a bit of Fortnite flavor, but still a lot of power picks. We've seen Carlos's Gods Irelia be banned earlier tonight, gets it this game. Naya, Sejuani's been buffed. He was playing it before the buffs. He's probably a hipster about this pick. Going to be feeling good about how strong Sejuani is, at least on paper at the moment. We haven't seen it necessarily translate into big victories yet. There's a lot of power picks across the board from Fortnite, but the mid game's on from Chiefs, and look at this lock-in against Nidalee. It's going to be the Twisted Fate mid. Swiffer loves it when this champion fits the meta, and in this matchup against Nidalee, It's not bad.
Yeah, last pick TF here for the Chiefs. Of course, Ezreal and Aurelia, like you mentioned, round out the 4-0 lineup. So Ezreal against Graves, kind of interesting 80 carry matchup, but Twisted Fate here for Swiffer. I like that you already mentioned that, we want to see a bit more invades, a bit more skirmishes against the tank-heavier junglers that want to farm up. What better mid laner to have than TF?
I mean, you could just go in simple and say double global, so a lot of globals coming through from Chiefs, but as you mentioned, the thing about Destiny especially is it empowers your jungler to play aggressively. Whenever Spooks goes to invade, especially after Twisted Fate is level 6, you know that the first person to react to a skirmish is going to be the Twisted Fate. He's always going to react fast on the enemy mid laner because he can instantly port through with the 1.5 second channel time and contest the buff. So Sejuani is suddenly going to be very risky in the jungle. And just look at these picks. Let me read them out to you. The bottom half of the map here, Twisted Fate, Graves, Annie. That's about as much mid-game pressure as you can look for. If the first Destiny comes through, the snowball starts. And this is an Ezreal versus Graves matchup you have to remember. It's probably going to be the tier being built up, probably going to be a fairly passive laning phase from Ezreal, as always. And if Graves Annie can get rolling, if the global pressure, the first Destiny really resonates, and then you even have the skirmish advantage from the jungle with Rek'Sai versus Sejuani, this mid-game, it's definitely the time for Chiefs, and you can't bet against Twisted Fate from Swiffer.
No, not at all. And he can just run there at this point. He's got Ghost there as well for double mobility. Yep. So really milking the mobile double global aspect of the comp here. This is probably the way Chiefs test everyone. They love to play explosive mid-game when they can, take control of a game, get the deep wards down, and then get it rolling. So a great comp there for Chiefs. But like we mentioned, comfort here for 4-0 for sure.
I very much like what 4-0 are repping, but the issue is in every lane, they've probably got the late game champion. They've probably got the scaling advantage in every lane, but that means they seed the early game in every lane. And this has been the story every time. Someone raised the question during our question segment last week, how do you bet the Chiefs? And I say, well, if they have one weakness, maybe it's their late game team fighting. Teams just aren't getting to that late game. If they do in this situation, they have a lot of tools to succeed. But it's tough against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and of course, pretty interesting comps here, but we'd love to know your thoughts on Twitter there as well. So let us know who you think is going to win using the hashtag CHFWin for the Chiefs or 4N-win for 4-0.
Absolutely. It's a massive game for 4-0. Chiefs, they just want to keep that march to the 4-0. Mid-game's got their advantage. The first Destiny, it's always the question. Is it going to be the massive first Destiny, potentially the double kill in bottom lane, or the aggressive pick onto Sejuani to ensure that she never really gets to farm up her Cinderhulk and get rolling in the mid-game? It's an interesting matchup, specifically because Twisted Fate in the late game, he has wave clear, but especially in terms of sieging, you'd always give the advantage to Nidalee in those spears. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting where we look at tank junglers. I think Nidalee actually covers for someone like Sejuani quite well, because you want a good skirmisher. If someone's going to invade you, you want to move the closest laner, and that's almost always your mid laner. So Nidalee in that situation is quite good. But like you mentioned, that first ultimate, that level 6 for TF, is just a difference maker at every lane. Because if 4-0 do want to try and outscale in every lane, they're going to kind of get run around the map by the Chiefs.
Well, that's why the Destiny is so critical, is that if that first engage goes in the advantage of the champion with the earlier power spikes tend to snowball, whether it's going to be an earlier Righteous Glory for Maokai or just Graves Annie starting to zone Ezreal Janna in the bottom lane. There's just not a lot of presence in any of the lanes, and this is the combination I worry about for 4-0. Low presence lanes and then a kind of a jungler that really provokes invades from the enemy jungler. You just worry that there might be that situation 15, 16 minutes into the game where going for Raptors is a contest from the enemy team, where they just have no safe place to farm, and then the late game just never comes.
Yeah, and definitely look for aggressive wards for the Chiefs as well. That's been the hallmark of their playstyle for the last few years almost, it feels like, as a team. Get aggressive early, start snowballing your lanes, ward the enemy jungle, and never let them out of their half of the map.
And that's what you have to expect. They've got all those advantages innately in the comp. If they execute on their win conditions, the Chiefs definitely are in a great position to succeed. At least their team is cohesive. Every champion, as we mentioned, has an earlier power spike. So a lot's going to be on Spooks and Swiffer. They've got very comfortable, very well-ridden shoulders. They've been around the block. They've done this a lot of times. They're 10-0. There's no reason to suggest they won't. But 4-0 are on a really nice wave of momentum. No Nami, unfortunately, to complete the metaphor. But definitely on a great wave of momentum. There's a potential for them. And there is a late game that looks good for them. They just have to get there 5,000 gold or less behind. If they're ahead, it's going to be wonderful. If they're 5,000 gold behind, very much passable. Any more, it's going to be a problem.
And again, like, sort of been the factor in a lot of the wins here for 4-0. Expect the jungler to really go off, even though he's on Sejuani, which is, a bit more of a level 6 oriented jungle champion. He's got to do a lot of movement early on. You have to imagine Spooks is going to be the same. And much for the same reason, I like that Chiefs are showing respect here by playing, a very straightforward, very standard composition for them with a lot of mid-game strength and aggression. I like that 4-0 are playing comfort, going for the late game. That's what won them so many epic games when they qualified for the OPL. Haven't had as much luck here so far, but again, if there's ever a time for Fortnite to really go big. It's here against the Chiefs.
And there's a kind of a crazy thing to consider is that, okay, we will have a pause at the start of the game, so a little bit more time to spitball. One thing I want to talk about is in the mid lane, there might actually be an advantage in terms of a mid lane skirmish for Nidalee Sejuani over the Twisted Fate Rek'Sai, because Twisted Fate's all about impacting other lanes, all about porting in terms of his like straight 1v1 damage, not going to do a high amount of damage. If the Glacial Prison, like basically if Sejuani gets through a jungle phase, isn't invaded, does just fine, gets 7-minute, 8-minute level 6. If the Glacial Prison is comboed with a max range spear, there is a lot of kill potential coming through from Nidalee. We've seen in the LPL, we actually saw the same exact matchup, and Nidalee was able to get solo kills on the Twisted Fate. Glacial Prison, it's pretty easy to hit a spell when someone's snared in spot for 1.5 seconds. There actually is significant kill pressure on Swiffer, and he's going for the team fight summon. He's going for Ghost Flash. You can still, of course, Ghost away from the ult, Flash away from the Glacial Prison, but he doesn't have the cleanse available, so he is very killable in the mid lane. And maybe that's a point you can snowball on. If he fails the first Destiny, or if the first gank from Sejuani comes from earlier than he can clear the lane, there is the potential for Twisted Fate to lose relevancy in this game.
Yeah, and that's always the worry, I feel like, when you play a champion like Twisted Fate, is that, like you said, great at ganking other lanes, very bad when you get ganked. And if he gets pushed in especially, Swiffer's going to start running out of options unless Spooks comes to help him. So they've got very self-sufficient lanes in the top. Maokai's pretty much just going to be a watch in almost any matchup. Although, Carl does have a lot of play there. I think that's the one lane early where Fortnite might be able to expect to find some sort of an edge. But bottom lane that's all Chiefs there. It's almost the most aggressive Graves-based lane you can play. Maybe Blitzcrank.
I mean, Ezreal Janna's not going to win a 2v2 lane. I mean, barring some amazing outplay or a jungle gank, which... It's a jungle Sejuani, so we're not really expecting. Maybe he can throw everyone off. They could start with the red buff, get a quick level 2, then level 2 gank bottom. Maybe there's a potential there, but it's a real hypothetical situation where Ezreal Janna ever wins a lane. In reality, they're going to be CSing under turret. They don't have a lot of lane pushing. And of course, Graves Annie have excellent pushing opportunity and then assassination potential at level 6. So yes, he will be focusing Sejuani, you'd have to think, either mid or top lane. So it's going to be a really interesting game. And Chiefs... Swiffer in particular is the big question mark. Feast or famine, you'd say, for Twisted Fate. We saw this, of course, when they played against Direwolves, of course. Twisted Fate in that famous game where they really got on top of perfection with Destiny and with other cooldowns. Chiefs already have a winning record in that Twisted Fate. In fact, they have a winning record in every champion, worth noting. This is definitely a Swiffer champion. He's got the Ghost Flash for the Destiny ganks. Make him pay in the laning phase. That's my advice to Fortnite.
And I mean, it's a classic Swiffer champion there. He's always played Twisted Fate over and over again across many, many games. But the Chiefs, we're going to see if they can continue the streak here. Still undefeated. Can they make it 11-0? And Fortnite, can they keep their dream alive? We're going to jump onto the Rift now to start this next game off here. Fortnite over on the blue side, and the Chiefs still going strong over on the red.
Still going strong as an understatement. By far the strongest performing team in the OPL so far this season. And we see an aggressive invade come through, but spotted by a ward.
Yep, good stuff there. You can see Rosie already with the stun. Good to go as well. So expected here for Chiefs to get aggressive. They already want to get deep vision down. So why not do it at level 1? Make the jungle pathing as predictable as possible. See if you can cut Nair off at a buff.
And of course, there's only 3 members from Fortnite at the bottom of this map. They just want to go for the aggressive invade. I believe that was a spear hitting onto Rose. It takes a chunk. He has his stun available, of course, Annie, unique in that she has an AoE stun at level 1. They have to respect the pressure coming through from Chiefs. Fortnite haven't got any counter wards in just yet. They have very defensive wards set up, but maybe they have. Let's have a look. Ezreal's the only one with his warding totem available, so let's see what he uses it on. Yeah,
well, they're actually towards the red side of the jungle. They're over on the Chiefs side of the map, so probably a deep ward there for CNJ. They'll get at least one here, but like you mentioned, mostly defensive setup here for the early warding. Moya going to try and keep them out with a couple of spears. Swiper, though, hanging out, but looks like we are going to break it into at least standard-looking lanes for the Chiefs.
Standard lanes, you say, but it looks like the lane swap has been confirmed with CNJ at top at 1 minute 30. Was definitely priced in to go for the lane swap. Would have been late to lane if he went to the bottom lane. So some vertical jungling coming through. And with this extra ward, they do know that Maokai is looking to answer the pressure.
Yeah, and actually Swiper might even get caught off here. Good sapling there just to spot off Nair, and Carlos has got him. He might deter them from the steal, but Carlos should be able to force him off, and Nair going to brute force the red buff.
Especially with Zaldo coming through. There's no way Swiffer can really react with how the minions are breaking in mid. Swiper, he'll look for a steal. Won't get it, of course. Just hold on to smite. In fact, they might not even smite at all.
Yeah, actually going to save it here. So a lot of help there as Carlos got basically going to start double jungling. So the Chiefs going to have to change their plans. CNJ will be very well protected by Fortnite in the top half of the map, and already some disruption early on for Fortnite.
But I'm very impressed with the early strategic choices by Fortnite. They understand the lane disadvantage of having Ezreal Janna versus the Graves Annie. So going for the vertical jungling, not a lot of teams in the OPL have tried this. They've given a lot of experience to Carlos's God early because they actually shared the red buff experience. They didn't give the instant level 2 to Sejuani, which is usually what we see in competitive play. But they'll continue the jungle follow. And at the bottom lane, you can see on the minimap, Graves just holding on to that wave.
Yeah, I actually like this adaptation from Rosie. He's basically camping this lane as Moya, going very aggressive, actually hunted there as well. But Rosie been waiting for so long. The follow-up's done there for Swiffer, and Moya going to be forced to flash away.
Moya does get away. Of course, got the pounce reset, so did have the mobility to get out. Chiefs, they're doing the jungle follow now, been forced into it as we see, very standard lanes, freeze in the top lane, freeze in the bottom lane. And Annie makes her feelings known in the mid lane. Yeah,
just going to hang out, maybe even protect the half of the jungle, act as a ward. Doesn't really need the experience at this point. I mean, level 6 is great, but not necessary for support. I think she's probably the most resourceless support as far as experience goes when we talk about supports, especially ones that want to roam. I guess the only minor thing here is that Swiper didn't get a chance to take a camp with Saplings.
Yeah, I mean, Annie loves level 2 just to maybe even get the shield to get the stun up with less mana, but with the teleport to bottom, Carlos God, that's not what you want to do.
Former dive coming in there, twisted advance already popped by Mark over to snap. Carlos has got his so low, and Radier claims first blood.
And that's the first significant strategic misplay, is that you know at least 2 members on the bottom lane, one with a stun. You know that the double jungle will be taking the team towards your red buff side. That's where they got the ward advantage around at level 1. Teleporting, finding 4 members, and that's first blood to Chiefs.
Yeah, and a nice little almost proxy fast push here by the Chiefs as well. Going to take this turret out very quickly. No mucking about at all here. We talked about mid-game. It's all early game for Chiefs right now.
And although the freeze has been very successful in the top lane, Swiffer has a lot more ranged wave clear in the mid lane, so has been able to hold the wave very well. He has a lot of pushing options against Moya on this Nidalee. They'll continue the proxy in bottom. No way for Aurelia to hit this minion wave. Aurelia has a much higher gold floor in terms of needing to get one item. Needs the Trinity Force to be relevant. 3,700 gold, 3,800 gold for that item. Looking far away when you're at 5 CS with no turret.
I mean, you want to talk about strict early game advantages here. Swiper, like you mentioned, double Dawn's already done, so pretty comfortable there, even in the top with an experience disadvantage. And Rosie got level 2 off that gank, so everything went right at for that first early 4 mentality.
And Maokai's been indirectly buffed with Righteous Glory getting a significant buff. Rod of Ages Maokai is almost a thing of the past, definitely a lot rarer than it was before. Chiefs are also going to look to pick up a dragon, as you can see on the minimap. Fornot know what's happening, but they don't really have any way to deter it.
No, and Swiper even broke the freeze on the top side as well, pushing that in towards CNJ. So over towards the dragon. Seems like on the minimap, Chiefs are going to be able to take that away. Do get the first one, though, as Lee Sin might have caught something. So that's Twisted Fate here as Moya going in. Actually did get the kill into Rek'Sai. Radier, though, going to move around as well. Then Naya moving in, but Radier flashes out there, and Naya now chasing in. Zaldo is so low there and has absolutely no health at all. Radier, though, will go down. It looks like Zaldo actually going to get that kill. Still alive, but Swiffer going to get donated the double. Now Rosie going to chase in as Carlos has got down here as well, but that might mean Rosie's actually in a bit of trouble. Not a whole lot of mana, chugging away at a mana pot actually, but saving the stun there, gets the 2 mana and walks safely under the turret.
So that was a good trade for Chiefs, but the consistent damage coming out from Naya is underrated. Absolutely was doing a lot of relevant damage in that skirmishing. Very low level and low health members, so was ripping through with the W. But the other person being ignored is Swiffer, 2-0 already, and look at the CS advantage. 48, 49 CS, 50 now against the 20.
Yeah, 30 up there for Swift in the mid lane as he goes back for his first purchase with a whole bundle of gold. You have to think Spook's even going aggressive with his build. You mentioned damage items there for junglers. It is not, it might be Warrior, but it's not Chilling Smite. It's Skirmisher Saber.
I'm not even going to ask you about the Skirmisher Saber, but a Marilla Nomicon and a Biscuit picked up by Swiffer. That is an item at 6 minutes, if there ever was one.
Yeah, nice item and a tasty snack there for Swiffer as well. Side waddle on back there to the mid side of the map. CNJ actually has to be a bit careful. Swiper, Radier, and Rosie all up top here with Spooks waiting in the wings as well. So potential gank going to come through, and Chiefs know what they want. They proxied a turret already to get the first one. They're going to fast push the top one as well.
And usually we focus on the first Destiny, but with Destiny on 20% less cooldown, you can afford to make a mistake. You can afford to use it defensively due to the big item pickup. And as you mentioned, Chiefs pushing aggressively. And what's an Ezreal to do? Hasn't even shopped. It's BF Sword Graves versus an Ezreal sitting on 1,600 gold. The tier's going to be delayed. The Mana Moon's going to be delayed. Maybe he might even have to opt straight into a Trinity Force to hope to ever hold a candle to what Radier will be doing in the mid game.
Yeah, you can see Swiffer sort of coasting towards the left there as well, looking maybe to dive in the top side. That's the scariest thing. In fact, he's already Destiny. Going to go down towards the bottom side of the map here, diving on a castle. He's got Swiper's going to lock him up. Stun going to come through there as well. Damage is unbelievable at the early levels, and Twisted Fate, a third kill now.
Twisted Fate is already well underway in terms of snowballing. Has so much gold, 1,400 gold over his laning opponent, Nidalee. Nidalee doesn't have a lot of counter wave push, even with the ability to have Cougar form at level 1. Has a bit of wave clear, but just nothing to compare to Twisted Fate, especially when he has a ridiculous amount of ability power for 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, the early Morellonomicon is not a joke here. Very accelerated early items here for Chief Swiffer, and that's an understatement of this. We're going to keep clearing. Does actually eat a spear, but is going to back off home potentially, or just eat his biscuit that he saved.
I mean, Twisted Fate is very brittle. 30 matches, he might be dead.
Yeah, Moya jumping in there, has to find the stun kill. We'll get in there. A great flash out from the pound. Spooks comes in with a very timely knock-up and the kill claim for Rek'Sai.
Instant response from Spooks. What a great time for him to be just prepping the blue buff. Gets the answering kill. Moya so near, yet so far. Didn't quite have the ignite. 20 seconds off cooldown. Already losing in CS, now giving up a second kill. 3-0-1 is Swiffer.
Yeah, Swiper here actually down towards the bottom, but his tower's already pushed in, so playing a little bit safely there. He's got his Ruby Crystal for a bit of extra early health. Back in the top, Caster's got a whole lot of trouble, and Rosie going to claim that kill.
Yeah, you walk up to a BF sword level 6 Radier, and that's the result. You get overkilled by considerable amount of damage as they'll keep pushing in, and Fornot, the turret reinforcements, I think, haven't even fallen away yet, but they might be losing a second out of turret.
Yeah, and Caster's got only level 5 there, so quite squishy actually on this Aurelia, and going for a Sheen, which is very aggressive in this situation.
I mean, the Sheen just seems unnecessary. You want to work towards the Phage, not just because Phage is such a wonderful item for Aurelia, allows her to surf around with the Rage passive, but just because it builds out of a Ruby Crystal. You've already been turret dive once, now a second time dying under a turret. 0-3-0. Trinity Force looks a long way away when you haven't even finished your Sheen 9 minutes in.
Yeah, and you know, that tower kind of sweetens the deal there. Oh, sorry, the kill, sweetens the deal there for Chiefs. As they get what they really want, and that's the tower in the top side. Pickaxe and a crit cloak done there for Graves as well. So an Infinity Edge coming up very quickly as they're going to move in towards the mid. And you have to think, try and take another turret.
Moya's Nidalee mechanics are on point. Already hit one spear. They're still chunking out Swift. He's not interested in building magic resist. Very much looking for his own build. Probably going to be a Zhonya's coming in soon, so he can go for the Messiah-esque engages on the Twisted Fate. And, I mean, the item timings are just below par across the board for Fauna, although the Sorcerer's Shoes, I like that adaptation from Nidalee, just to give her a bit of lane pressure. If she hits a spear, at least Swiffer will be lower health and won't be able to overextend as easily, as it looks like the third outer turret might be coming down at 10 minutes.
Yeah, Graves moving in. Naya is going to pop into defend, but Spook's actually going to find a dive here maybe on Moya. Naya, though, could get caught out. A good 3-man ulti, though, from Sejuani. Might keep them safe. The ulti from Ezreal's on. Spooks gets locked up, and Naya going to claim that next kill, but diving that collateral damage almost kills Zaldo as well, and will take out the jungler.
The collateral damage, it's so much damage, so close to Infinity Edge, but Chiefs will continue the push. Radius still very healthy. Moya does have a spear, and this should be enough to at least force Chiefs away from their third outer turret.
Yeah, Radius has to back off. The sniper poke is coming up from both Ezreal and Nidalee, so Fortnite will counter push out. Aurelia, some much needed free time in the top side of the map to farm up here, but the gold lead already 4,000 gold ahead for Chiefs, and Fortnite wants to push in, but they can't.
So just to return to your original question about the Skirmisher Saber, we do see the Warrior Skirmisher Saber completed. Well, no time. Zaldo, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he does get caught out there. Twisted Fate going to follow in as well. Swiffer actually Destiny down the heel. Going to keep the support safe for now, but another stun coming in. Wildcards just wide there of Zaldo, who managed to run fast enough away, but the Chiefs are going to look for a second dragon instead.
Well, calm down, Twisted Fate. I'm talking about Skirmisher Saber. So one of the reasons why it started to be introduced is that with Chilling Smite, change, specifically the cast range going down, can't be used to gap close anymore. You have to get very close to be able to use that ability, as we see Chiefs setting up for the dragon. And then the secondary factor of the actual proc being low. Now it's just a movement speed steal rather than the 50% slow. Skirmisher Saber, with the reveal, with the consistent damage, if you auto-attack a lot, which of course we see so many auto-attack coming from Spooks, attempted steal doesn't come through successfully. As Naya, he's trapped.
Yeah, he kind of got caught out there, gets stunned up as well. Swiper going to dive on top of him. Quite tanky as the Sejuani, so will live there, but is forced to flash out of the pit.
Forced to flash out. If you get a lot of auto-attacks in, like the Rek'Sai, you effectively have 9 seconds of true damage, because of course the proc lasts 6 seconds and you can 3 seconds, and you can reapply it at the 6th second once you use that ability. It's a lot of true damage coming through, so it's just another flexible option, as Moya still has a great eye for spears in the mid lane, trying to reduce pressures, and the bottom lane, Rosie, waiting for someone to come and contest Swiffer.
Yeah, he's not interested in his ultimate at this point. I mean, Rosie just walking around almost being a stun bot on the support, and he does have a sight stone though, so providing a bit of extra vision as well. Seems like Spooks might be moving in that direction also.
Could be a sight stone. Of course, Ruby Crystal at this point builds into Giant Spell, builds into everything. Ruby Crystal is just the happiest item you can build at 400 gold. So not pigeonholing himself into a sight stone, but I would like it just because they're against a team that needs a lot of setup, specifically Sejuani. If she's predictable, if you know when the Glacial Prison is coming, you can account for it that much better. So I don't mind the sight stone pickup. If that's what he goes for, and in fact, yep, it's bought now.
Yeah, third outer turret down there. So another very cost-efficient Ruby Crystal there for Spooks. His inventory there. Radiant and Swiper going to check some jungle up. Walking just past the pink ward as the Wolf Spirit very angrily chases them out of the 4-knot. John or Moya going to line up a couple more spears. Doing, again, fine damage right now, but just woefully behind Twisted Fate.
And there's just no map pressure being exerted by Fauna at all. All 3 outer turrets down around the 12-minute mark. Now the double sight stone aggressive wards will come through. Already had the advantage in the bot lane. We can see the Destiny coming through.
Yeah, going to come in there. C&J taking a lot of damage. They're almost dead as Swiffer joins in. A little out of mana, so going to have to flash in there. Carlson's going to move in. Swift will actually flash out of the way, but no help forthcoming. In fact, Naya is rotating down as well. The first gold card going to hit in. That might be enough room, actually, as this pop the Ghost, and Swiffer will run away.
But with the teleport, you can see that in the top lane, they've lost another turret have fallen out, with their inner turret falling at 30 minutes. The global gold is really snowballing. It's best sin on the supports. Already 800 gold. That's just turret gold coming through for the Annie.
Yeah, and you can see in the actual gold lead, 6,000 gold up now for Chiefs as well. Up 2 dragons as well, and just everything they could want. We talked about it already. Strong mid-game comp here for the Chiefs, and their mid-game's gone quite well.
But I mean, it was a strong mid-game comp against a team that needs to scale up, which is already a significant problem for Fauna. We talked about them losing their minimum. 4 outer turrets at 14 minutes is definitely not the minimum, and it's just looking like this game will be played around the power spikes. Will we ever see a Mirror Mana transformation? Will we ever see a Trinity Force from either of the AD carries? They're both looking like they're unlikely at this point as Chiefs. They have a lot of early game power. Infinity Edge and another 1,000 gold ready for the Graves. You see the Distortion Boot mobility is already completed for Rosie. Swiffer working towards the Zhonya's as we predicted, just for the engage. Righteous Glory probably coming through from Maokai very soon. All these mid-game items for these mid-game champions. That's not good for Fortnite.
No, not at all here. And I actually love the distortion specifically on Swiffer there as well. Such an aggressive item choice to enable your summoner spells. And we already talked about it. He's not going to go for cooldown boots for, you know, the kind of max ulti build that we do see sometimes with the Morellonomicon. Swiffer interested in doing damage when he comes into gank and just wants to be more mobile and more flexible.
I mean, at this point, with all the outer turrets down, you don't need to have the CDR, but the Destiny's not even going to be that necessary. I think we'll see quite a lot of just, you know, walking into the enemy jungle and finding picks with the gold card. They have a lot of CC options between Annie and Twisted Fate. The Destiny, of course, is going to be up very, very soon. Isn't even level 11. We're still so early into this game, but it already feels like such a monumental lead opened up by Chiefs.
Yeah, Zeo bought here as well for Radius, so prepping up that item build. We talk about C&J. Looks like blue build might be what he wants to go for, although can, of course, go quite a number of places there. Looks like Manamune going to be his first
the blue
major
build's
item,
really fallen away with just the importance of needing to fight for early dragons and the fact that blue build needs to hit 2 items before it's relevant. You really need the Iceborne Gauntlet. You can't just sit on a Sheen. It doesn't build like Sheen Phage. You know, the moment that you spend 950 gold on the Glacial Shroud, you're just moving away from damage. So it's probably still going to be Trinity Force. In this situation, I wouldn't mind blue build, but given you're already behind, it's not a luxury you can really opt into.
No, his Chief's going to actually hide in the brush there. Swift clearing out some waves in the top side. Does have his ultimate back ready to go, so can get back down towards the Dragon if needed fairly swiftly. And Dragon back in a minute 25, so Chiefs again setting up. Just need a bit more aggressive vision.
Yeah, this need to move their vision forward, specifically pink. Wasn't see any pink ones, but the Destiny.
Oh, very aggressive. They're actually onto Moya. Spooks are going to flash and knock him off with the Umbaro. Good ulti there from Naya. Might get Spooks away there, but minions in the way there for that next spear. Wildcard's doing a lot of poke actually to C&J as he joins in, but no kill forthcoming. Swiffer going to prep another card, and all this time, Rady got some free time in the bottom lane.
Just need to start shopping and getting some pink wards. 1 down on the map from Rosie around, as you can see on the map, just there. They don't have any other pink wards down. One in the infantry from Swiffer just placed. They could start placing aggressive pink wards, and it's already a risk for Fortnite to be clearing them because they have to be so far out from their inner turret line. They have no outer turrets, so no real safe movement in their own jungle.
I think the worry there is probably for Fortnite support. There's Zelda, who ate a single wildcard and lost about a fourth of his health without a single need to see large rod in Swiffer's inventory currently. So going to be going back, spending some more gold soon. And poor Zelda, we talked about it already. Radiant going to blow him up.
I mean, the collateral damage was completely unnecessary. The burst took him down to about 200 health. Would have been a couple of auto attacks, but it looked sweet. So, you know, where's the shades proudly does Radiant.
I mean, John had Flash. Want to make sure they don't get away, I guess. But you're right, there's so much damage already coming through for the Grave. Spooks aggressively ulting to a tunnel there as well. 10 seconds till the next dragon.
Swiffer doesn't quite have Destiny. We'll be up in about 30 seconds. Clearing out wards with the sweeper. 3 sweepers already up, and then the warding totem from top lane. I feel like this will be the new standard, is the warding totem from top lane. You know, if you're ever looking to split push, even as a Maokai, having the extra wards is just helpful for your team. Chiefs start the third dragon, very early third dragon. Spotted out. Naya, he wants to go for the steal. Not sure if it's worth it, but we'll wait and see.
Doesn't have vision now, and unfortunately went to put a green ward down and missed the pit by a couple pixels. So had to throw the pink in. Chiefs happily swooped it up, and there's their third dragon.
I mean, that's another win condition showing up, is a potential 29-minute fifth dragon. They already have 3 at 17 minutes into the game. Fortnite need to start contesting, but they just don't have the item timings to do it. Aegis had to be built from the jungle just to try and deal with some of Swiffer's damage and Maokai's base damages. So it's doing double duty, and Annie, of course, doing a lot of magic burst early. So I don't mind the Aegis pickup. Trinity Force is completed on Aurelia. Ezreal's just really far behind compared to Radia, though.
Yeah, Radia, though, is actually having a bit of trouble clearing out the rest of Fortnite. Everyone here, and they will actually get a mid-tower. Radia has to back away, doesn't want to get dove, but Swiffer going to look for the re-engage here again. Hasn't been able to finish the next major item. Ulti there coming to Radia, gets very low and goes down. The cast has got Rosie going to be the next to fall there as well. There's the double kill actually for Aurelia, but in the back, Moya able to kill Swiffer. Way too aggressive on the Destiny, and Fortnite get 3 free kills. In fact, make it 4. Swiper's dead as well.
That was a massive miss-execute coming out from Fortnite. Specifically, we saw the Twisted Fate ult going in, trying to corral Nidalee out of the fight, but it just opened up the dive onto Radia. Died instantly. So much of the team's damage is focused onto Radia. They did not need to execute in that way. They weren't respecting the power spike coming through from both the Aegis, the defensive power spike, but more importantly, the Trinity Force on Carlos' guard. And out of nowhere, picks up 2 kills, another 1,000 gold to work towards a tank item. That was unnecessary from the Chiefs, and also uncharacteristic from what has previously been very measured play.
Yeah, big misstep there, and the gold lead, which was about 6k up before it Chiefs did its peak here in this game, is back down to, what, 2,500 or so, maybe even less than that here. Fortnite caught up so much in gold from all those kills, and they're going to go back and spend some well-earned cash.
I mean, the aggressive Destiny vision came through, but there was no need to act on it. They didn't have the Zhonya's. Just been completed the Needless Large Rod, now is Swiffer. So many kill bounties coming on. Of course, they were also higher level from taking all those global objectives. Donating over experience as well, just completely unnecessary. And that was a forced engage for a 0-4 trade.
And interestingly, CNJ is going to go blue build here. So decent timing, thanks for some of the extra cash. Able to pick up his Iceborne Golem and the Mana Mune quite quickly here. Not too sure about the big. You said you might have liked it in the situation, and I guess thanks to a bit of a misstep there for Chiefs, actually has it quite quickly.
I mean, they have a lot of melee champions that are trying to gap close in, and then, of course, Swiffer also has the Ghost for a potential very aggressive Ghost gold card. So I don't mind the build coming through, but the item timings are a bit slow, and it feels like they'll be low on damage. There is a lot of damage coming out from Aurelia, especially now. And if the Trinity... See, the thing about blue build is that you're slow to get to those 2 items, but your 2-item power spike is pretty good. And if you just get a Last Whisper, you're pretty damage ready. But CNJ's been found in the bottom lane.
Yeah, not quite enough damage yet. He's actually going to force the flash. Swiffer going to use the ulti, and now towered up with it as well. Gold card to the face. Ulti gets cancelled, and Swiffer walks out with a very cool 1v1.
Yes, Swiffer goes for the very aggressive 1v1. This is always how he plays Twisted Fate. He loves the aggressive invades. Says his favorite champion was always Messiah, and doing his best impression at this point is homage to Messiah with excellent Twisted Fate play.
Yeah, he's going to maybe steal away the Krugs as well. We'll red card them away as Naya comes in to check his own jungle out, but Swiffer already stolen away the camp. Naya says, hey, that's mine, and does smite it away from him. So Swiffer should be done with his Zhonya's now. Has quite a lot of gold banked up, actually, and the Chiefs playing a little bit carefully now after that misstep before.
Yeah, they're starting to clear vision. They still haven't got the aggressive pink wards we're talking about. Pink wards seem to be what slipped through the inventory. They have a lot of extra damage, but in terms of pink wards, haven't got them placed to get the aggressive vision that their early play really seemed to garner.
Yeah, it looks like Scuttle Crab going to get killed there as well. Give Chiefs a bit of vision around the Baron that spawned a minute and a half ago. But 4th Dragon coming up soon. You mentioned that 5th Dragon coming at the sub 30-minute mark here for the Chiefs. Have a monopoly on that. That's the big, I guess, tangible advantage they have other than quite a large gold lead, even though they did give some of that back here. The Zonya's now done for Swiffer. Even an amplifying tone for probably a quick Void Staff. Righteous Gory done for Swiper, plus an extra Glacial Shroud. Things coming up Chiefs now. Absolutely.
A lot of mid-game items coming in, but still have to respect the Trinity Force and now Giant Spell coming through from Carlos' God. All of the tankiness afforded by the overly aggressive teamfight force coming through from Swiffer and the Chiefs. The Locket is complete. There is still a margin for error, especially if they can start the fight with a couple of Nidalee Spears. But you can see the push in mid lane is very good. There's 3 members of Fortnite in the bottom lane, so they're trying to answer this Chiefs with a very aggressive push.
Yeah, but Raider has plenty of damage already on the Graves. Quick draw means he takes down turrets very quickly there with his increased attack speed. So he'll walk in, take it out. But we actually have a counter push there for Fortnite. Rek'Sai going to ult him maybe towards the top side. Swift is up there as well, it looks like. And he's going to walk in. He's hasn't actually used the ulti, but he's going to run and try and wave clear. Actually just has to poke them off, and Fortnite successfully get the tier 2 turret.
Fortnite will not be able to run away from this engage. Swiffer is looking for his options. Takes some Nidalee poke. Here's the initiate.
I don't know about some Nidalee poke. He actually drops a half health there as Swiffer going to come in. Eats another spear to the face and almost dies. Ulti there from Naya coming in, but too much damage there as Spooks gets the first kill. Naya going to be the second now as well. The rest of the Chiefs in to reinforce. Swiffer though has to be careful. Pops his zombies, but goes down to Zaldo.
Assassinated by the support Janna. That's embarrassing for Twisted Fate. They do win the fight quite strongly, and CNJ, he has the blue build, so he is able to get away.
Yeah, going to cut himself away there, but Moya, crucially, I guess, for Chiefs, did not have the Rabadon's finish, now has it completed. So those 2 spears that almost 2-shot Swiffer would have 2-shotted him in that case.
I also feel like it was a strategic misplay coming through from the Chiefs. Remember who was split pushing the bottom? It was Ezreal, it was Moya, and then another member. That's a lot of their potential wave clear gone. I feel like the Chiefs could have just pushed mid and taken an inhibitor turret, been happy with the trade they were going for. They got greedy, went for the fight. Swiffer was already towards that area, but of course could have just Destinied mid and gone for the aggressive push. You trade 2 turrets for an inhibitor any day of the week. They went greedy for the kills. Ended up with a fairly even trade.
Ooh, they're going to get their 4th Dragon, though, it looks like, although Moya is in the area along with Zaldo, I believe. Naya pulling up there a bit, but almost there with Sejuani as well. So they are going to dive in onto this Dragon. It might be a 50-50 situation, especially if a Spear will land for Nidalee, which might even tip the scales, but they are going to go for the Dragon. Should be able to get it. Naya, though, coming in, but the Dragon does get taken away. Carlos' God going to dive into the back now as well. Pop the ulti onto Spooks, who looks to be very dead at this point and does go down there to the Aurelia. Naya going to chase in. No ulti up yet. It's a couple seconds off cooldown here, but Sejuani going to keep getting aggressive. Swiper a little slow there on the Maokai. Going to have to walk away with just his brown boots. Forced to flash out. Good stun from Rosie. Keeps Naya away, but Fortnite might start a siege now.
And the lack of Glacial Prison was so significant because they wanted and really fished for the extra engage. But they really committed to a fight because they did not try and bring the wave up with them. The wave is actually caught very much close to where their outer turret would have been, so that stops any sort of siege potential in a 5v4 situation. Of course, with the global ultimate, Spooks can rejoin his team almost instantly. And it's only a pick for Fortnite. No objective managed to be gotten from that pick.
And you can see Raider, you've got his Phantom Dancer done now as well. So in short range, especially with his E-popped, does quite a lot of damage in close range here. Kind of what you expect from Graves here. And, you know, most people look at Graves, think aggressive laner, think short range carry, but he does so much damage if he's kind of right in melee range with his shotgun.
And that's why I like champions like Rumble, who fight in short range. They have a very long range ult. Collateral damage has a massive AoE, so it does give him some long range burst potential. And when you got a mid-game comp with a mid-game AD carry who has AoE burst, it still fits the situation very well. Lanes well, team fights in the mid-game especially well. And in the late game, if you have a strong enough tank wall, you can use that quick draw aggressively, and it's a massive steroid. So I think Graves is underrated in a lot of ways. But look, he's been seeing a lot of play, so he's finally coming into the meta in his own way in recent patches. And Radier playing him very, very well.
I think I'm just maybe worried for poor CNJ here, who if ever has to go into any sort of duel, just isn't going to live in 525 range.
I mean, you say that, but he's not going to be dueling. He doesn't have a dueling build. It's no Trinity Force being completed. It's going to be the last Whisper. It's a very early 3-item power spike, and it'll probably match the accelerated power spike coming through from Graves. The poke is still very, very strong, between C&J's Blue Ezreal and Moya's Nidalee. And of course, C&J is a very noted, excellent Ezreal player, and Moya's Nidalee needs no introduction. There's a lot of poke that Chiefs have to respect, and their engage is pretty linear. It's a risky engage from Twisted Fate. It's, you know, Annie going for a Tibbers. If they eat the spears, as we saw previously, Swiffer out of a fight before the fight even begun, eating 2 spears from Moya, that will only accentuate as more AP items are being completed by Moya. There is windows for Fortnite to win this game, but Twisted Fate split push in the bottom lane. They don't really have an answer to that. Yeah,
and I like this choice by Swiffer a lot. It's not a Void stuff that he wants with the Amplifying Tome. It's actually a Sheen that's already been completed. So a very snowbally-esque split pushing based Lich Bane coming through here for Twisted Fate. Does get the first turret there in the bottom side of the map. Fortnite have already returned, but Chiefs have swung around back to Baron.
A lot of members committed to recalling, and now they have complete position on Baron, looking for any blue wards. The closest one is just behind this cove, and not starting the Baron yet, so they have that going for them, but it's going to be very risky to check vision against an Annie.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try and set something up here. Chiefs are waiting very patiently for members of Fortnite to walk in, but they're just going to pop the Twisted Fate ulti. Moya going to get caught out of position here, potentially flash ulti, plus the Tibbers there in for the stun. A great ulti there for Naya, but Radier snipes him with the splash damage of his ulti.
Just the tip of the collateral damage assassinates Moya, and now they're going to turn onto the Baron. I feel like Fortnite have to contest, but man, it's very risky walking into all the lockdown CC from the Chiefs.
Tibbers might actually want to start tanking a spear or two here, but instead getting onto the Baron for a bit of damage. Chiefs are going to pull off there and going on to Naya. C&J quite aggressive. Radier getting assassinated almost by Carl's God, but Spooks and Swiper are around the back. Radier now dishing out the damage to that Aurelia. A good ulti almost keeps her alive. Swiper gets low and goes down there to C&J, but Naya going to get locked up. Very tanky though. And now C&J going to go and go Superman mode and gets a double kill. Can he find more here onto Spooks? He already killed Radier, and he does go in for the triple. We'll get it there onto Rek'Sai. Fortnite and C&J's Ezreal defend well.
Not even a 3-item Ezreal, but importantly, the Miramana was completed. They're not looking to turn onto the Baron. They want more kills. And Rosie probably going to be chased down by C&J.
Does have a stun, but C&J coming in so much gap close. The stun will come in. Naya going to move in for the damage, denying the quadra to C&J, but they'll take the kills. They need the gold.
It's 4 kills, but Spooks will be able to ult back to this Baron. He does have tunnels in the area. Twisted Fate's going for wave here. They're going to start this Baron. Their Baron damage, remember, is not a traditional AD carry. It's quite low. The Baron will take a while, but it's still 4 members.
I mean, I don't know. Naya does a lot of damage with the W, and Fortnite are going to look to take away the Baron. Spooks going to move in there as well, but they do get it, and that gold lead basically evaporates now.
Wow, this gold lead was massive. This game felt decided at the 10-minute mark when there were 3 outer turrets down, but Fortnite putting up a fight 2 games today. Already picked up the first win. Nobody even expected that. A win over the Chiefs, ending this 10-0 streak. That'd be something incredible.
It really would, but don't forget, Fortnite have something to contend with that's very tricky in 55 seconds time. Chiefs have their 5th dragon lined up so soon here in this game, and items across the board for both teams here. Fortnite have shown in a straight 5v5 engage they have an edge here in Chiefs. You can already tell they're starting to frantically push the side lane.
And the thing I love about the Summon of its Rift rework, specifically the dragon rework, is that it's not just the first dragon they have to contest. Every dragon that comes up is the 5th dragon for the Chiefs. With a potential win condition, they face check Spooks, but they're looking aggressive around this dragon, our Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite grouped as 5. Chiefs can't really do anything at this point, although Radier does have his last whisper, but it's so dangerous
towards
to
the
fight.
side, isn't been spotted by a ward. She really wants to engage. No flash available, though.
I mean, they have to find such a great flank, and Talisman and Mikhail's are already available for Zaldo, so I'm not too sure the Chiefs want to pick a 5v5. Fortnite might get their first dragon.
Okay, so far they look like they're not going to be engaging. They could just pop the Destiny and get an idea of positioning from Twisted Fate, but it should be the first dragon. How important is the first dragon going to be at 30 minutes? We talk about the value of the first dragon for a turret, probably slightly in the advantage of a turret. But when you pick up the first dragon, 6% stats when you got Death Cap, Morellonomicon, and an Amp Tome completed on Nidalee is a significant thing.
Yeah, their first dragon and Baron buff. Swiper might have been caught out. The first spin missed. He fails. He's flashed into the wall. Forced a Twisted Advance on top of the team. It'll take him a while to die, but he will die.
Yeah, and he's not a solo frontline. He has Spooks as well, but a massive frontline tank is gone, and so much poke on the Fortnite side. It's going to have to be a crazy 5v4 engage, you'd have to think, unless CNJ gives away his life.
So aggressive, almost gets the kill. Mikhail's going to save him for a little while longer, but Spooks finally picks him up. Swiffer, though, getting chased back down, but there's not enough damage. Next spear will miss that. Would have killed Swiffer. Great Zonya's going to keep him safe, but Carlos has got real deep in the backline. Swiffer goes down to Moya as Naya is diving into the base. Fortnite might still be doing it here. They're going to look for a tower dive, maybe onto Rosie. Carlos has got, gets ignited, but there's so much damage here in the Chiefs. They're dying under their own structures now. Spooks is pretty tanky, but Fortnite have broken the base.
We're so close to an unbelievable win here for Fortnite. They're going to take this inhibitor, probably have to back away, but one more successful team fight, and last might be first.
If you'd seen the first 10-15 minutes of this game, you would not believe that Fortnite are currently 1,000 gold ahead of the Chiefs in this game. We said they need to start picking up. They've got some tough opponents, but this is just insane.
And we talked about the late game that might never come. It's getting really, really close now if you're a Chiefs fan. Big item pickups coming through. Frozen Heart is completed from the jungle on Sejuani. Randuins are now working towards a Spirit Visage or a Banshee's Veil is the Aurelia. 3-item Ezreal won't be stronger than he is now. We'll pick up a BF sword, probably towards a Bloodthirster, but it's very, very strong. And Radiant, he can only do so much as a 525 range AD carry.
I mean, look at the front line here for Fortnite. Randuin's done here with the Trinity Force, plus a Cowl and the Merc Treads for Carlos' God. Sejuani is insanely tanky with the Cinderhawk, Frozen Heart, Locket, and even a Sightstone, just for the health at this particular stage of the game. The Chiefs can no longer pick a 5v5, and if they can, it's probably a 5-minute window that they have left. And if they want to win, they have to start out-rotating Fortnite.
And you definitely need to out-rotate because you cannot match the siege coming through, especially from Moya. AP Nidalee in the late game really deals well with Twisted Fate because you force people into bad engages. You can't sit there and eat spear after spear. You have to, at some point, make the hard initiate, and that's against a Sejuani Aurelia tank frontline. Really, it's a game of inches. If we see the assassination coming onto CNJ at the start of a fight, I think this could be a win for the Chiefs. But he's already very slippery. Low cooldown, of course, on that Arcane Shift. Now picks up blue buff as well. Chiefs, they're looking for a gank push. That's not normally a good sign, but Fortnite are rotating 4 members, 5 members top, 4 members. When the Chiefs are potentially going to be able to take down an inhibitor. This is a lot committed to the top lane.
They need to kill Carlson's God right now. Raider going to go in damage onto Aurelia. Ulti's popped everywhere, and the Chiefs going to break the base. Instant 4-man recalls left for Fortnite, but the Chiefs get what they want.
Absolutely. With a Twisted Fate, you can always go for these outplays, but they were well on top of this Chiefs. They recognized that the minion wave was pushing in the bottom lane. Fortnite, they were winning the last few team fights, but suddenly, with Twisted Fate especially, maybe there doesn't need to be another big team fight for Chiefs to win.
I already said it. Chiefs can't afford big team fights, so a very good rotation to take out the bottom half of the base. Perfect spot to take it as well, leaving the next Baron buff open for them here, but no major buffs available on the map right now. Super minions still pushing in for the mid as well, so this game just got, I mean, even crazier. I already said insane. I don't know what levels after that, but we're getting there.
Well, Insanity continues pace of time at minimum. Now you're going to have super minions pushing in the bottom. Makes it that much harder to contest the Dragon, but of course they have their own super minion wave in the mid lane. Eventually, their super minion wave will dissipate before Chiefs does. So Fortnite, they're trying to push against the super minions. They don't have a lot of ranged wave clear, but they certainly have a great amount of poke, and they're waiting for their minion wave to catch up. If they can siege and take down this inhibitor, that'd be the real big thing for Fortnite.
And they're going to start a siege here as well. Moya's Nidalee without a Void Staff, crucially, but still does bucket loads of damage so far. Spooks is going to have to hold tight to that Banshee's Veil because spears start hitting and Chiefs are going to have a lot of trouble.
And the one person who cannot afford to take a spear is Swiffer. Has no magic resist, only the armor from Zonya's. The poke continues from multiple members of Fortnite. The issue with pushing this wave base time is, although they relieve some pressure on their base, the super minion's always going to be a lot more durable than the minion waves they're bringing with them.
Yeah, they're taking them out relatively quickly here. Actually, good damage from Naya, especially in melee range and CNJ. So they're poking back and forth. Moya quite healthy on mana, so that's not going to be a major concern. But the siege can't last too much longer here. Baron up in 40 seconds, a Dragon about a minute 5.
But they have the super minion wave in mid, so they are slowly poking down this wave. Swiper takes a huge burst of damage. Fortnite, do they want to pull the trigger? No, it's going to be Chiefs.
Rosie going to go, and Carlton's got dives on the Swiffer. Does get the kill. Ulti in from Sejuani, and Fortnite dive into the backline. Carlton's got looking for the re-engage. Chiefs scattered to the wind as they run back towards that fountain. Swiper going to go down there. Sejuani, though, does get felled to Graves, and Radius still alive. Carlton's got has almost no health left, but Radius almost goes down to the Ezreal, but they're pushing in. They want structures here. Nexus turrets even.
They're getting a bit greedy. It will be much easier to take the outer turret. They want to finish the game now, but I don't think they can.
No, they can't at all here. They're going to take one inhibitor turret. Maybe the inhibitor goes down here as well. Ezreal Nidalee is so much pushing power. 2 inhibs down now. The Chiefs backs against the wall.
Yeah, no need to get greedy. They also have to respect the fact that Ghost Flash is available and the Destiny. There's still potential for exit kills. We'll see if Chiefs try to make their way towards the bottom. It's smart too, because you know this Destiny's going to be popped.
Well, Baron's up and 5th Dragon's
Destiny's
coming up in 3
seconds.
seconds. They're going to go in. Have to try and stop her back. C&J gets away. Carlos is gone. Not in range there for Swiffer's ulti, but he's going to go in. They have to get something. Chiefs, the 5th Dragon should be there.
Absolutely. He ports onto the 5th Dragon. Will that be enough? It's a massive boost of stats, and in fact, it's going to be Carlos's god as well. They spot him with the scrying orb.
That's a good kill, though. Swift actually pops his Zhonya's. Now the 5th Dragon goes down there as well. Carlos's god will fall to Swiffer there as well. So the Chiefs on a power play for about 50 seconds. 5v4, sorry.
They don't have exact vision on the Baron, but so far it's a 2-man Baron. They're starting it very, very slowly. Will anyone walk through a ward? Do they expect this quite daring 4v5 Baron? They do now. They've warded it at 6,000 health.
Spooks checks it. He's got a tunnel available, I think, as well. The ward's going to get cleared out here. Raid is down as well. Remember, this is Chiefs with 5 dragons, and Baron, though, does get low, and Ezreal takes it away.
Awkwardly, Smite is still available. It could have been the steal. Doesn't come through. Baron buff recall is going to be important. Double super minion waves. No, only the single super minion wave being pushed out from bottom lane.
And we got a little bit of time right now while the game settles. No major buffs on the map. 5 dragons up for Chiefs, but Fortnite have the Baron and an inhib down, although mid-inhib did respawn for Chiefs. Important to note, this isn't just Chiefs potentially losing a game in what looked like an undefeated season, but Fortnite are keeping their hopes alive. Naya, though, it's been caught out of position. Does go down. No, he flashes out. He's alive there. Pops the ulti. Somehow Liz, but Swiffer getting so aggressive, uses his flash, but finds nothing.
They wanted a pick to open up the inhibitor as it responds. They will get the red buff from the pressure, but no kills importantly. We're talking about 45, 50, 60-second death timers. Anyone dying is more important than Baron, more important than anything.
Yeah, and the Baron up creeps fighting off the super minions with the help of Fortnite very easily as well. So the Chiefs need to find something else. There's a ward, though, may be able to spot them off. Swiffer gonna pop his Destiny. Who have they gotten? No, they find no one again. Swiffer getting desperate, you have to think, for a pick.
At this point, with Morellonomicon and after level 16, the Destiny's pretty short cooldown. Just using it for vision is a very valid target. We're so close in this game, Pastry Time. No mid-inhibitor down means they don't have a global pushing advantage yet, Fortnite, but they've been winning these team fights consistently.
I mean, they've just got the better 5v5. That's the only way to put it here. Moya built up now as well. Void Staff is done with something coming up. Probably a Zhonya's, you have to think, for maybe even more team fight prowess. C&J as an Essence Reaver of all items. Might even get a BT in there as well for a lot of lifesteal and safety there in his Ezreal build. We already talked about it. The Chiefs can't force a 5v5, but they are running out of room to get a pick on this map.
And the big issue for the Chiefs, they have excellent dive coming from Swiffer, but no one's diving with him. Maokai's been forced to peel off Carlos's god. You look down at these items, Nidalee, Ezreal have no tools to deal with a gold card whatsoever. The Mikhail's on Janna is one option from the support, but there's no QSS, no real defensive pickups. It should be free reign for the double, triple dives come from Swiper, Spooks, and Swiffer, but they just have to peel away this backline diver in Carlos's god. So the identity of Chiefs just isn't working cohesively.
No, and a bit of Baron buff left here for Fortnite. They're going to start pushing down for that inhib again here, but a flank, maybe attended for Chiefs. Swiffer's already popped his ulti. They want something here. Rosie looks for a pick, but he gets caught. Goes down there to Naya. Now Spooks in the front line, but an ulti there from Janna will reset. Raider in the front line trying to do damage, but he's going to go down to Sejuani. Gets a double kill. Spooks going to be the third to fall as well. Moya takes out Swiffer. Swiper, the only one left alive, but not for long.
Is it going to happen? With the ace, you have to think so. Fortnite, they might be beating the Chiefs in this situation, and Pastry Time, they're still in with a chance of playoffs.
I mean, again, they win out here, which seemed impossible when we started the night. They'll have a shot at Key staying in the OPL. They can't even make playoffs at this point.
Wow.
They can just stay in the OPL, but they are fighting hard to do it. the 8th ranked team might take out #1 in Chiefs. They wanted the 14-0 so badly, but that dream is dead.
It's a fairy tale pastry time, but if you're Fortnite, fairy tales become reality. Massive victory for this team. And look, if there's a tipping competition this week, I don't know who would have tipped Fortnite over the undefeated Chiefs, but GG well played to Team Fortnite.
And so rare for 8th to beat first, but that's exactly what happened here in the OPL. The Chiefs, they continue good form, of course, but at 10-0, they could smell the 14-0.
But let's not really dwell on anything, Patreon. They have to play again straight after this game. We don't know how they are after such a crushing defeat to the bottom team. They still need to go in there strong and beat Avant. But we do have a replay to really crown off what was an unbelievable game of League of Legends. So it was just so close right till the end. Look at the gold difference, 700 gold. Just a kill difference between the two teams as we roll this tape for this momentous, massive fight. The big thing was that Rosie went for the assassination on Ezreal. He flashed away, and suddenly he died instantly at the fight. Swift was being chased by Moya. Radia in the backline's a 525 range AD carry. Can't do anything to the front line. This is Sejuani baying off massively. Swiper does take the exit kill. That's the GG well played for Fortnite. And just a fairy tale result. I say it again because it's such an apt word to use. This Fortnite team, they were sitting on, what, 0-8 not long ago? Suddenly, 3 wins. They're equal on wins to Sudden Fear. That's massive for this Fortnite organization.
Yeah, Ing with a chance and close out the night with 2 victories, but the Chiefs have one more game to play. Some old rivals are coming out here, and the Chiefs have to pick them.